Okay, so this is what I'm forgetting what this was late in the game here, right? What was this?
No, this is second quarter.
Okay, this is second
So
quarter.
this is the second quarter.
Oh, this is when you held him to a field goal.
Yes, I believe it's after, if I'm not mistaken, the long choice route that they hit to the running back. And so this situation right here, it's 3rd and 5 on LSU's 6-yard line. You hold him to a field goal there, but then you can go ahead and play it, and you'll see Perk is spying right here. I mean, stalking basically Bryce Young, and the end zone copy is even better. But Bryce Young's stutter step is as good as you'll find in college football. He is so good at getting away from pressure. He did it in this game, 23 hurries, only 2 sacks. He did it in the Texas game. He's done it his entire career.
Look at the touchdown that he scored. That's like the most Bryce Young play ever.
Right? But when he stutters and Perk stops, but then full speed closes on him right here, no player in the country could take that stutter, stop his momentum, and then have enough explosive nature to catch up with Bryce Young. And if you're saying
he almost broke Perk down, like that's how good Bryce Young is. Like,
and if you're watching this play, like, oh, that looks like no.
No, that is
you go back and watch Bryce Young in his career to stop right here and then go full speed in the same motion. No player in the country could have done that outside of Harold Perkins.
It is the is the same as when, to me, against Jackson Dart, he missed the sack and then still swallowed up Dart from behind, right?
Yes.
Like normally, like a normal human being, a normal great football player, like even a good football player, like other guys on the LSU team who are starting and playing and are very good, physically just don't have that in them. Because like Jake is telling you, nobody really has that in them. And when you watch this man QB spy, you want to talk about being a literal lion hunting among the tall grass. That's fine. Or yes, a tiger stalking through the woods. That is the vibe that you get. He's got that predatory kind of loping, sort of like shoulders hunched a little bit, sort of vibe to him. And I know we can't do too many plays here, but so I won't. But there's another one. It was just an incomplete pass in the first quarter. Nothing a big deal. 3rd and 10, but same thing. He's sitting there spying, waiting. The second Bryce Young breaks the pocket, he's there, and Young's like shocked, like he has to just throw the ball down because he's not used to it. How did this happen?
You know how many times he's had that play, T? Broken a linebacker down and then thrown a touchdown in the corner of the end zone because the corner of safety that's in coverage tries to come up and make a play on him, and he just floats it in the air. Like, I would love to talk to Bryce Young. By the way, Bryce Young is a fantastic interview and great young man.
He's an awesome. That's the worst part.
It's the worst part.
Yeah, I know. Is that he's fantastic. Same thing. It's like when Tua was there. He's
man,
smiling at me, like, so happy and
so many times.
And he's even like Bryce Young's even like a really good actor. Like he's really good at those House commercials.
But you lost, so I'm glad you did that.
Yeah, good.
But like he had to be surprised by that, just because it hasn't really mattered the opponent. He's been able to flee the pocket, have a throw where it's easy for him to float it up there. And T-Bob's right. Like this looks like
this is the one that I said. Okay, so I didn't know we were gonna play.
This looks like a tiger in the jungle.
Look at that. Look at that. Watch how quick that is. Back it up, Danny. The second that Bryce Young starts to leave, watch, he's stalking, break, like he's shot out of a cannon. And Young, again, his timing is thrown off. He's used to having half a step more, being able to flip his hips and deliver that ball, but the speed at which Perk 40 closes is outside of the norm. And
hell of a rush by Wingo on that same play, too. Go back, Danny. Watch right here. Watch the pocket collapse. That's why Bryce Young has to. 54, he does not have Heelys on. I know it looks like he has Heelys on. Those are cleats that 54 has on there, but it doesn't matter because Wingo's pressing the pocket. Bryce Young feels that in his lap. He has to leave that pocket. So Wingo makes that play, and then you have the best spy in the country that finishes the play.
And that was something that Matt House, that was obviously a very concerned ever do that, because on another big 3rd and 10, they ran a twist with Perkins pushing the interior of the pocket to flush Young, and you flushed him right into B.J. Ojolari, who was looping around all the way back from the backside. Same deal. Bryce Young's dead to rights, and he ends up having to throw the ball incomplete, and Alabama punts.
It is wild that
you won in the line of scrimmage. You won in the trenches, which is wild.
I mean, so many points of this, it just feels so different. Even then, some of the big wins you've had against Alabama. This one just feels completely different. But Bryce Young is a generational type of quarterback, Heisman Trophy winner. That man's not going to win a national championship unless
as a starter.
Yeah. Unless look, ask Flynn. Flynn has 2 national championships. He'll tell you he has 1. Right?
Yeah,
I mean, quarterbacks are quarterbacks
I argue with
different.
you about the 11 team versus the 07
Yeah, I try to give you the 7. You're like, nah, I'm good. As a starter, I mean, and he only started for 2 years. You're like, man, that's not that crazy. But at that place, with the run that they've been on, and him to be as talented as he is, it's a little bit shocking.
That's one of the reasons why I wanted this win so badly. It's one of the reasons why they're all hurting so badly, is they know that they wasted the best quarterback that they ever had. And like I said, they hate their coordinators now. The Alabama fans do. They think the players that transferred in from Georgia and LSU and everywhere else are soft. Like, it's so wonderful, the amount of tears being spilled. Okay, so I want to give some other defensive shout-outs. Like you said, man, Mekhi Wingo just did what he's done all year long, which is just all the dirty work on that defensive line. I don't even know what he graded out at this game. Chances are it's very high because he grades high every single game. And then, again, shout out to guys like Micah Baskerville, who continues to be the kind of heart and soul Mike linebacker who, like, Mike is interesting, Jay, because by no mean is he like, he's not like physically deficient or anything, right? He's a very good football player, but he doesn't have like the just raw talent of a Harold Perkins, but he has great instincts, great leadership, and he's clearly done a fantastic job. If you watched him throughout the night, he was the one getting all the last-second communication into everybody when they were shifting and motioning around, getting one lined up correctly. Like, Micah Baskerville has been great, and he's the one that actually got the pressure to force that pick to Converse when he came up, when Bryce Young maybe looked like he was going to run it, which that I have a crazy screenshot from that where, like, how Bryce Young got that ball off is even insane, because he's literally throwing like under Baskerville's armpit while Baskerville's like on top of him. And the secondary was fantastic. And then how about just a big effort play in which you screwed up, but you made up for your screw up with Major Burns. There was a great answer from Kelly after the game where they were like, how about the effort? And I was thinking the same thing, right? But like, how about the effort on Burns to chase him down and it ends up, saving a touchdown, ends up being a field goal. And Kelly was like, well, he better have tackled him because the technique got him in trouble in the first place. Yeah. But that does not take away that Major Burns didn't really have that great of an angle.
No.
And just found a way to
get a running back,
but still
found a way.
And it was a 4-point tackle. In that game, it was a 4-point tackle.
And so what Coach Kelly's talking about, and again, like we got to kind of pick and choose when we play tape here. So Major Burns, he's supposed to have inside leverage because the running back has a choice route. He has the choice where he can either sit it down if it's true zone. He can break it out on like a 5-yard out route. This is the Darren Sproles route, by the way, for all the Saints fans. Or he can do what he did and take it up the seam. If you overplay it and you give him the inside, he's going to take the seam and it's going to turn into the play that it did. So as a defensive back, I want to force him to go to the 5-yard route.
Yeah.
I'm playing inside. You're not coming inside here, and you're going to break out on a 5-yard route. Yes. We're going to tackle you right there. It's going to be 2nd and 5, whatever it is. And when you overplay it, you give him all that space. It is an easy pitch and catch. And
you saw Alvin Kamara last week. That's how he scored both of his touchdowns.
Yeah. And it's a route that if you have a running back that can run it, it is a killer. And so you over pursue it, and that's what BK's talking about. Like, you got to have technique. Now, I do credit him for going to chase him down, and you saved 4 points, but BK is a coach, and he's like, well, it was effort, but if you had the right technique, because that route in man coverage, again, you got AK, you got Darren Sproles, you got some of these smooth running backs. Like, you're probably lucky it wasn't Gibbs that actually was the one that ran that route, because he probably finishes that in the end zone.
Well, but then we arrive back at complimentary football, right, and overcoming mistakes and not letting one mistake spin into something larger. Yes, Major Burns screwed up. Then he did everything he could to make up for it.
Hey, he had a cowboy collar on. Give him some slack.
And then you know what he did? You know what happened? The boys had his back, and the defense bows up, and they hold him in the red zone. They hold him to a field goal, and that's just what this team did. They had each other's back all night long. I want to give more credit to the secondary as well. Maybe we look up their grades and do it that way, because one of the questions I had was, because they haven't truly been, well, I mean, whatever. Alabama doesn't have elite receivers, right? But the worry is always that if Alabama's receivers are just a little bit better in your secondary, like you have no chance against Bryce Young. Well, they were not better than your secondary. In fact, your receivers did a better job in the matchup against Alabama than vice versa. And so shout out to everybody in that secondary, Jarek Bernard-Converse. How much did Mekhi Gardner play this game?
He played a bunch.
Yeah.
I can get the snaps for you pretty quick. I'm breaking down the touchdown run there in overtime because I cannot wait to show that. I'm choosing that as my other
3-year Letterman loves devastating downfield blocks. That was the literal definition of a devastating.
I'm choosing wisely when to play the plays that I play. Defensive snaps from Mekhi Gardner, every single one of them.
There you go. There you go.
So I'll give you a quick breakdown. He had 86 plays on defense. B.J. Ojolari played every one of them. Mekhi Gardner, every one of them. Baskerville, every one of them. Bernard-Converse, every one of them. Greg Brooks played 85 of the 86. Mekhi Wingo, 83 of the 86. Jaquelin Roy, 72. Perk, 67
there we go.
Of the 86.
So shout out to Bernard-Converse. Shout out to Mekhi Gardner. Those are two positions that you were very worried about in a post-Corey Raymond age where guys leave, and they were fantastic. And look, Greg Brooks continues to hit and make plays.
I like it. There's something about him. I think he's going to play on Sundays for a while. I know he doesn't have, a lot of people, he doesn't have elite this, that. I don't care. He's got something about him. He's got this instinct about him where he's always around the football. He's been a big blessing for that LSU secondary coming over. This is the touchdown in overtime. So obviously it was one play for LSU in overtime, and Jaden scores. And Josh Williams' block here, remarkable, amazing block. But I want you to pay attention to the bottom of the screen. This is Brian Thomas for LSU. Lined up across from him is Eli Ricks. I think a name that you'll all remember. Pay attention.
Benedict Ricks.
Now, you know Jaden scores, right? And you know Josh Williams decleats his player, one of the best blocks you'll see. But just let it play, Danny, and I want you to watch the bottom of the screen. In fact, we'll watch it in silence together. He pushed that man wherever he wanted to.
That is the best feeling as someone blocking, is when you're blocking a person so far behind the play, but it's not like, it's not illegal. You're just staying on the block and they're clearly annoyed with you and they want you to get off because you're like, maybe you're in the end zone or you're on the sidelines, and you just keep going because you know at that point, well, and you kind of saw the play breaking, right? So you know Jaden Daniels is going to score and he's just rubbing it in his face, traitor.
And it doesn't
have fun going back to T-Town.
Like, it doesn't really show it, and maybe we can find a
Traitor Town.
Let me tell you something. Brian Thomas lets him know as he's walking back, and Ricks can't even look back because he has nothing that he can say. Brian Thomas is following him, letting him know exactly what just occurred. And it kind of goes back to what we talked about. I mean, look at that. Mason Taylor block, Josh Williams block.
Josh Williams, dude.
It's.
Go back to Josh Williams one more time because that is a decleating.
Yeah.
That is a lay it all. It's a throw your heart across the line and the body will follow, dude.
That's after he faked it, by the way.
Bang!
That's after an RPO in which he got the fake, and he lets them know as well. That is a team that is playing for each other. That is a team that doesn't care who gets the credit. That is a team that is doing everything that it takes to be able to win a game like this. This, like Brian Thomas, like how many big plays he's made this year. He was as happy to block Eli Ricks in that play as anybody else on that field was as happy to do anything.
Well, it's funny because, yes, wide receiver blocking, like the same way that yards per attempt is a great measurement of, like a great single number, Jake, that can give you actually a pretty damn good picture of how a quarterback's playing overall. If your wide receivers block or not is a great measurement of whether or not you have buy-in on your team. Because that's a hard position group sometimes to get to want to do these sort of things. But when you have a group that does, not only does that's how you break long plays, like that's critical to success, but it's also a sign that everybody's doing their job. And it runs, right in line with what Kelly's entire philosophy is built upon, which is accountability to your brother. And so I don't care if you're getting the ball or not, you are accountable to make the plays happen. And so, yeah, it was That's and it's not just that one play. Like
Right.
every wide receiver blocks their ass off. Kayshawn does. Everybody is out there grinding. Kayshawn had a sneaky good game as well. Like Jake, we haven't even mentioned him this entire time, and I'm pretty sure he ended up being LSU's leading receiver. Is this correct?
It was.
From a pure statistical standpoint.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but he had 7 for 51. So he had the most catches and the most yards of any LSU receiver. And yet again, LSU continues to spread the wealth. Malik had 6 catches. Mason had
Clutch
3. Emery had
catches,
2. Josh Williams had 3.
Did Kyron Lacey get a big one?
He had 1 for 5, but it was a great catch that
Was
he
it
had.
like a conversion or something?
No, remember he caught it and got hit immediately
drilled,
and held on to the football.
Yes, that was big time. Time.
I'm trying to find the run blocking grades real quick because you're talking about it. Brian Thomas Jr., the highest graded run blocker on LSU's team Saturday night, 83%.
Damn, taking them Alabama DBs and
I want y'all to know,
son.
like Pro Football Focus, the thing they grade the hardest, in my opinion, is run blocking.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
LSU's O-line keeps grading out like garbage.
I know, and I'm like, God, they're doing pretty good. 83%. Josh Williams, 70.5, comes in at number 2. And then you have Bradford, Miles Frazier, Kyron Lacey, Jeray Jenkins, Malik Neighbors. All of those receivers are right there, some of the highest run blocker grades on LSU's team on Saturday.
Okay, let's get to another. Let's do another Brian Kelly answer here. Which one do I want to play? Here is the one about the O-lineman. This is Brian Kelly, and listen to the incredulity in his voice, okay? Because this is constantly what I'm trying to express. Because in Brian Kelly's voice, I mean, the words are important, but just in the tone of his voice, you can hear how absurd it is that you are witnessing what you're witnessing out of Emory Jones and Will Campbell.
I don't know how they do it, to be honest with you. It's amazing. Now, they have a mental toughness that is unusual for their age and lack of experience. They just are so strong mentally that they can go back after, Campbell gives up a sack and he comes to the sideline and he can explain to me precisely what happened and the steps that he's going to take that it never happens again for the rest of his life. Like, I'm like, well, we're good. We're good here. Just get to the next play. But that's how unusual those two freshmen are. They are so focused on doing their job and doing it well. It's quite unusual.
See, I mean, right there, unusual. Like he can't explain it. Like sometimes, and you know what? To outperform expectations, you have to have those sort of elements. Like guys, just like nobody expected Mason Taylor to be this impactful as a true freshman in college. You have to have things break like that your way, and they have.
I like that answer though. He came back to the sideline like, "Hey, I got a little bit. My head was over my cleats, and I took these steps because." Like, yeah, we saw, but like even when I used to get beat, like I couldn't process it. I think like in that moment sometimes, like, man, what did I do there? The fact that he's like, look, my head got too far ahead. He pulled a swim move on me.
It was a real lack of athleticism. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. I'm trying, man. The natural talent for Campbell and Jones obviously is what sets this all up, but the mental aspect is where they actually separate. Here is Kelly on the decision to go for 2.
You know, it was a decision at that moment. I just felt as I thought about it, if we could boil this game down to one play and win this game, before the game started, if you asked me, hey, I'm going to give you one play, and if you're successful on that one play, you beat Alabama, I would have taken that 100 times out of 100.
Yep.
And so at that moment, it kind of hit me that way, and I knew we had a really good play that we hadn't used and they hadn't seen. And when you get 5 out on the perimeter, you truly have a threat. Yep. And so I felt really good about the play, and it was well executed, and that was the thought behind it.
And, it makes sense. We talked about it on the show, so we don't have to spend too much time on it here, but, again, it's almost like military tactics, okay? Maintain the initiative, dictate the terms of engagement. Why give Bryce Young another chance with the ball? Your quarterback's been incredible all year long. I mean, obviously, especially this last month, has been legitimately incredible. Put in his hands. And that's what they did. And look, if you're the better team, like I'm not saying it's just a blanket go for 2 every time, though I do kind of lean that way. But if you're the better team and you've maybe just played an awful game, sure, maybe you don't run the risk of losing the game there on the spot. But in a battle like that evenly matched, where it's just an absolute fist fight, yes, I absolutely love saying we are going to end it here one way or another. This ends here.
Yeah. And, I mean, not even a second thought.
No.
He scored immediately, sent him back out there. Yep. Now, Alabama took a timeout because they didn't really know how to line up, and LSU changed the play. Because if I'm not mistaken, it was a bunch formation to the right the first time. I had to go back and watch it.
I don't know. I mean, bro,
I'm pretty sure it was a bunch formation to the right.
I haven't watched that film yet, and so the end of the game is a bit of a fever dream, as it was just like every cell of my body was vibrating with intensity, waiting to see what was going to happen.
Yeah, so we don't have it on the all 22. Like, I'd have to go back and watch the
TV broadcast.
The TV broadcast, but I'm pretty sure he had bunch formation, and so you send him out there. Alabama's confused. They take a timeout. Then you come back, and I was fully expecting, all right, they're going to come back out in the bunch formation. Like, no, let's change the play. They changed the play. Alabama still is confused. All right, they have an extra player on the field. And a lot of people are like, why don't you snap it there when you see he's running? Because here's why you don't snap it. You could have had 11 on the field, and Alabama just maybe their defensive back thought he was extra.
Yes.
And if you snap that, you hurry that up, you don't run your play. And let's say they had 11 on the field, he makes it 10 because he's a college kid, he's confused, he's running off the field. Then, like, you blow the game.
Yeah.
So you don't rush,
Taylor
you don't
had
panic.
Had to do that motion to start this play. So yeah, like it's a very timing based play is what Jake is getting at here. And so if you screw up the timing by just trying to force a penalty that you're not 100% a penalty, you're done.
Right. So you see that player around the field again. Like, yeah, he's the 12th player, but I mean,
look at how timing. Look, that ball came immediately out of Jaden's hands.
Yes. And so I think
what
you
a
did.
Catch and fall in the end zone, dude. Every time I watch again, I get actually a little more worried about how close it actually was.
Yeah, me too.
Was.
I know. Oh gosh, Danny, can you go back to like right before they line up? I don't know if the TV copy shows this or not, but when they're about to go for 2, keep going back. Keep going. All right, so that's the score. Does it show? If it shows when they line up, I think it's really impressive that you had a play call in a different formation, and I bet you called the same play, but you called it out of a different formation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, sense. Obviously, like, because he said, like we knew the play. I don't know if it shows it, but it's like you knew the play, but it came out in a different formation, and that's always a sign that of good coordinating, right?
Yes, I agree. Last one before we get to Hold the Mayo. Here's Brian Kelly on why he was a bit emotional.
Because that was such a great game. I mean, and I had never beaten Alabama, and so, yeah, me too. That's my friend Pam. She hasn't beaten Alabama either. She's been with me. But so, those things are kind of like you want to check the box and move on. And so, yeah, you get a little emotional about those. And I was emotional, not for myself, but I was emotional for our team because I know what we look like in January. And to see where we are today, that's pretty emotional.
Yeah, I mean, so right there, it was a very honest answer, and I really enjoyed it. And for Brian Kelly, I mean, one of the players in the locker room might have been Ali Gay, but as Brian Kelly was giving his speech, basically one of the players yelled, like, "This is why you came here."
Ali Gay, yeah.
And, well, that Brian Kelly just expressed that. Like, this is validation of the decision in a lot of ways. That was a hurdle he could not get over previously. Now, granted, maybe a bit of a, I don't want to go too far down this road because obviously he's only playing them in championship situations, so he's playing the best versions of Alabama, and this maybe isn't that, but this is still validation of why he came here to LSU to trust in the talent and all the resources and everything else that he would be given to try to be successful. He's now, like, that dude's done a lot in his career, and now already he's done something that he had never done before, which is saying something, considering his accomplishments.
And now continues his streak of winning in November.
Yeah, yes.
It's been a very, very long time. What, 2017 now? Yeah. Last time he lost in November?
November is for contenders.